Close your eyes and imagine yourself standing in the middle of a Nevada desert at night. Above you is a bottomless, starry sky. Beneath your feet is cooling sand. You expect to hear silence, the eternal stillness of the wilderness. But instead, you hear a hum, a low, guttural, vibrating sound that makes the earth tremble and the fillings in your teeth rattle. It's like the breathing of a gigantic beast that never sleeps. You follow the sound and see it. It's not a mirage or a military base. It's a gigantic, windowless, pitch-black concrete cube, spread out over an area the size of 50 football fields. Columns of hot air rise from its roof into the sky, distorting the light of the stars. Let's go inside. Here, behind the steel doors, the air is so hot it burns your lungs. The noise here turns into a deafening roar of hundreds of thousands of fans spinning at full capacity. Endless corridors stretching into darkness aligned with black cabinets, flashing with toxic green LEDs. This is not a steel refinery. This is not a nuclear reactor. This is what you used to call the sweet, harmless word, the cloud. This is where your artificial intelligence lives. And right now, at this very second, it is devouring electricity with the appetite of 1,000 cities. Before we continue, make sure you've subscribed to the channel and liked it. The system's algorithms are designed to hide the truth, and this is the only way to ensure they deliver vital warnings in a timely manner. Leave any trace in the comments to confirm you're no longer asleep, you're staring into the abyss with your eyes open. The problem with modern humans is that they live in thrall to the most successful marketing lie of the 21st century. You've been led to believe that the internet is something ethereal, ephemeral, weightless. Upload it to the cloud, ask a neural network. These phrases make it sound as if data lives in the sky, feeding on sunlight and rainbows. It's a lie. The digital world has a body, a heavy, bulky, gluttonous body made of copper, silicon, steel, and concrete. And this body needs food. Lots of food. Every time you ask ChatGPT to write a birthday poem or draw a funny picture of a cat, somewhere in Northern Virginia or Arizona, a power plant turbine burns a bucket of coal. A physical act of resource destruction occurs. You exchange real physical energy, accumulated by the planet over millions of years, for a set of pixels on a screen. We have built a new god, and his name is Moloch. In ancient times, people sacrificed their children to Moloch to ensure their own prosperity. Today, we sacrifice our energy grid to him, and this god's appetite is growing not linearly, but exponentially. To understand the scale of the catastrophe, let's turn to physics, which cannot be fooled by beautiful presentations. The old dumb internet of the Google era consumed energy at the rate of a teaspoon. A single search query cost a fraction of a watt. But the new internet, the internet of artificial intelligence, draws energy with an excavator shovel. A single query to a neural network requires 10 and sometimes 30 times more electricity than a regular search. Multiply that by billions of users. Multiply that by trillions of queries. You get a figure that makes the hair of energy engineers turn grey. Imagine a modern graphics processing unit, the very chip that trains neural networks. It's an engineering masterpiece, but thermodynamically it's a boiler. One such chip consumes more energy than the average American household. Now imagine hundreds of thousands of such chips in a single data center. They're connected into a single network, a single giant brain that runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without breaks for lunch or sleep. This brain can't be turned off. If it's depowered, it dies, losing context and data, so it must always eat. You're told artificial intelligence will save the environment, it will invent new materials, it will optimize logistics. This is a cynical mockery. The truth is, AI is the dirtiest and most energy-intensive project in human history. Training just one large language model like GPT-4 leaves the same carbon footprint as hundreds of internal combustion engine cars driven non-stop for their entire lives. And that's just training. It's just school for the neural network. When it goes to work and starts responding to users, consumption soars. But electricity is only half the problem. This monster has another thirst, one that's not usually discussed in polite society. It needs water. Oceans of water. The fact is, electronics operating at the limits of their physical capabilities generate monstrous amounts of heat. If this heat isn't dissipated, the chips will melt in seconds, turning into a puddle of precious metal. So data centers drink water. They suck lakes and reservoirs dry. They drill wells into aquifers, taking water from farmers and cities. To talk to you for an hour, a neural network must drink a litre of clean fresh water to cool its servers. Now look at the drought map. Look at how the rivers are drying up. We're trading water, the basis of biological life, for text generation. It's a suicide exchange. The situation is exacerbated by the fact that we've reached the physical limits of silicon. Moore's law, which promised us computers would become more powerful and energy efficient every 2 years, is dead. It died quietly, without obituaries in the newspapers. Modern chips become more powerful only because we supply them with more voltage. We simply overclock them, like street racers revving their engines with no regard for fuel consumption. Performance increases by 20% and power consumption by 40%. It's a dead end, a wall. But corporations, gripped by the AI gold rush, press the accelerator without looking at the gauges. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, they all know the truth. Look at their actions, not their words. They no longer rely on the grid. They understand that the grid will collapse under their weight. So they started buying up nuclear power plants entirely. Imagine the absurdity. A private company buys a nuclear reactor to power its chatbot. They disconnect the reactor from the city grid, leaving people to rely on wind turbines and solar panels dependent on the weather, while they take the stable, powerful nuclear energy for their servers. This is the beginning of the Great Decoupling. Energy is becoming an elite resource. We've created a parasite, a perfect, insatiable parasite. The human brain consumes about 20 watts of power, less than the dim light bulb in your entryway. With those 20 watts, we wrote War and Peace, discovered the theory of relativity, and launched ourselves into space. The silicon brain of an AI requires gigawatts, enough energy to light entire countries like Ireland or Argentina. And for what? So it can rewrite our emails and generate videos of dancing cats. We're trading the lifeblood of the economy, energy, for a digital surrogate. This process is irreversible. You can't just turn off the switch. Countries have joined the AI race. China, the US, Europe. No one will stop because stopping means losing the war for the future. This means they will build more and more data centers. They will burn more and more gas, coal, and fuel oil. They will take electricity from factories, hospitals, and schools. 2026 will be the year you first walk up to the switch, flip it, and nothing will happen. There will be no power. Because somewhere in the neighbouring state, yet another neural network decided it needed to think about a complex problem, and it took everything. This isn't a weather forecast. It's a statement of fact. The beast is awake, it's hungry, and it's eyeing your outlet as its rightful prey. Welcome to the world of energy hunger. Now let's leave the scorching data center and move to a place where the fate of civilization is decided. This isn't the Oval Office or the UN conference room. This is a dusty, ozone-scented control room of a district substation somewhere in Ohio or Texas. Look at the instruments. They're old. The analog needles tremble dangerously close to the red zone. The transformers outside the window hum at a frequency that induces toothache. This hum is a cry for help. Engineers, grey-haired men in rumpled shirts stare at their monitors with expressions of quiet horror. They understand what the politicians in Washington don't. The laws of physics can't be bribed. They can't be fooled. They can't be negotiated with. Ohm's law doesn't give a damn about your investment portfolio or Nvidia stock. To understand why collapse is inevitable, you need to understand one simple thing. We're trying to connect a space rocket engine to a bicycle. Our power grid is that very bicycle. Much of the electrical infrastructure in the US and Europe was built in the 1960s and 1970s. It was designed for a world where peak consumption was in the evening, when families turned on their colour TVs and washing machines. Engineers of that time built in safety margins, but they couldn't foresee the emergence of a monster that consumes gigawatts around the clock. The lifespan of a transformer is 40 years. Most are already 50. They're held together by the grace of their faith, electrical tape, and the prayers of electricians. And so we're connecting artificial intelligence to this decrepit creaking system, suffering from arthritis and chronic metal fatigue. It's like running high-voltage electricity through rotten wiring in a wooden house. You can paint the facade, you can install a smart meter, but inside the walls the insulation has already crumbled to dust. When the full load from the data centers hits this network, and that will happen in 2026, the wires won't just heat up, they'll vaporize. Transformers won't just shut down, they'll explode, spraying boiling oil hundreds of meters around. It won't be a breakdown. it will be a systemic heart attack. There's another factor that makes the situation hopeless: time. In the digital world, time flies. You can write code overnight, deploy an app in an hour, download an update in a minute. But in the energy world, time moves as slowly as tar. Building a new high-voltage line takes years: approvals, land acquisition, environmental assessments, the construction itself. Building a nuclear power plant takes decades, and AI energy demand doubles every 3.5 months. Do you see this gap? It's a mathematical abyss. We're chasing a train that's speeding away from us at the speed of sound, while on our feet are the concrete shoes of bureaucracy and physical limitations. You're told about a green transition. You're told, we'll replace coal with wind and solar, and there'll be enough energy for everyone. This is the most dangerous illusion of all. Wind turbines and solar panels are unstable sources. The sun doesn't shine at night, the wind doesn't blow on schedule. For a normal economy, this was tolerable, but AI data centers are capricious, hysterical consumers. They require what's called a base load, a perfectly smooth, powerful flow of energy, 24/7, without even a millisecond's drop. If the voltage drops, the servers will crash, model training will be interrupted, and billions of dollars will go up in smoke. Wind can't provide such stability, nor can the sun. Only burning fossil fuels or splitting the atom can satisfy the beast's appetite. So while carbon neutrality is being touted, a coal renaissance is actually underway. Energy companies are quietly extending the lifespans of old, dirty coal-fired plants that should have been shut down 5 years ago. They're reopening oil-fired boilers. They're burning everything they can just to keep the grid running. Artificial intelligence, which was supposed to save the planet, is actually pushing us back to the 19th century, to the era of black smoke and soot. The environmental agenda is dead. It was killed by chatbots. But the worst thing is happening not at the stations, but in the chips themselves. We've hit a fundamental limit on heat dissipation. Imagine trying to cool an iron that's as hot as the surface of the sun, but it's the size of a fingernail. Current cooling systems can no longer cope. Air is useless. Water boils. Now data centers are switching to so-called immersion cooling, submerging entire servers in baths of a special dielectric fluid. It's like scenes from The Matrix, where people lie in capsules filled with saline. Only that's where the AI brains are, but even that's not enough. The next step is cryogenics, cooling with liquid nitrogen. We spend energy to perform calculations that generate heat, and we spend even more energy to remove that heat. It's a vicious cycle of thermodynamic madness. Entropy is growing, and we ourselves are throwing wood on the fire. Infrastructure isn't just wires, it's people. Skilled power engineers and electrical engineers are a dying breed. The average age of a US energy specialist is 55. Young people aren't going to work in substations. They're going to write code for the very AI that will destroy them. We're losing skills. When old equipment starts burning out, there won't be anyone to fix it. We have an army of programmers, but no electricians. This imbalance will cost us civilization. And here we come to the main paradox. The smarter AI becomes, the dumber our power grid becomes. AI demands instant response, but the grid has enormous inertia. When 1 million users simultaneously start generating video, the network load skyrockets. Power plant turbines can't spin up that fast. It's physics. Every rotor has mass. At these moments, the grid experiences a colossal stress shock. It's as if you were driving a car at 100 kilometers per hour and pulled the handbrake. Once, twice, 3 times, the transmission will hold up. But on the 100th try, it will fall apart. We're currently at about the 99th try. 2026 will be the year when quantity turns into quality. Localized outages will merge into a single cascade. You'll see entire neighborhoods go dark. At first, it'll be blamed on the weather, the abnormal heat wave, or Russian hackers. But you need to know the truth. It wasn't hackers. It was your neighbor generating the image. It was a startup launching training for a new model. The very structure of consumption has changed so much that the old backbone of the energy industry has snapped. We built the Tower of Babel, but forgot to reinforce the foundation, and the cracks are already appearing. At first, they're thin, hair-thin, invisible to the average person. But any engineer will tell you, when cracks appear in the concrete of a dam, it's too late to run. Water will find a way. In our case, fire will find a way. And when the transformers start exploding in a chain reaction, one after another, knocking out power to state after state, Artificial intelligence will be the last one to go dark. It has priority. It has its generators. It has its nuclear power plants. And you? You only have an outlet in the wall, which will soon become just a hole in the concrete leading into nothingness. Imagine waking up in the middle of the night with a strange sensation. At first, you don't understand what's wrong. The room is quiet. Too quiet. The refrigerator in the kitchen isn't humming. The TV's red light isn't blinking on standby. The familiar hum of the streetlight outside isn't audible. You reach for the nightstand to turn on the nightlight. Click. Darkness. You pick up your phone. No service. No service. You go to the window and see something you've only seen in disaster movies. A dead city. Black silhouettes of buildings against a black sky. But there, on the horizon, beyond the city limits, you see a bright, pulsating glow, an island of light in an ocean of darkness. It's the data center. It shines like a Christmas ornament. It hums. It's alive. And in that moment you understand. They took your light to give it to the machine. Welcome to 2026. The year the energy war ceased to be a metaphor and became a reality in your everyday life. What used to be called rolling blackouts is now called power scheduling. A beautiful term, right? It conceals a simple and terrible fact. There's not enough electricity for everyone anymore. And the government, faced with the choice of ensuring the operation of strategically important AI or allowing you to watch a TV series in the evening, has made its choice. And it's not in your favor. Artificial intelligence has been declared a national security asset. It can't be turned off. It must think, calculate, predict missile trajectories and stock prices. And you can wait. You can sit by candlelight. It's romantic, right? Energy famine will begin not with a complete blackout, but with prices. When shortages become chronic, the market reacts brutally. Prices per kilowatt hour in 2026 will skyrocket threefold, fivefold, even tenfold. You'll see electricity bills that exceed your mortgage payment. Energy will become the new luxury. Leaving a light on in an empty room will be considered a sign of either insane wealth or foolishness. People will begin to live by electricity schedules, doing laundry at night, cooking at 4 a.m., charging devices at work, stealing electricity from corporations. Warmth in homes will become a privilege. In Europe and the northern US in winter, people will choose between heating their room or buying food. This is called energy poverty, and it will plunge the middle class, which only yesterday considered itself secure. But the worst blow won't hit households. The worst blow will hit the real economy. Factories, mills, bakeries and workshops, they all run on electricity. When the price of energy becomes prohibitive, producing physical things will become unprofitable. You'll see a wave of bankruptcies in the real sector. Metallurgical plants will shut down their furnaces because smelting steel will become more expensive than selling it. Farms that rely on electricity for irrigation and heating greenhouses will go bankrupt. This will lead to shortages of goods and food. The prices of bread, milk, metal, and building materials will skyrocket, not because there aren't enough raw materials, but because there's no energy to process them. We'll see a paradox. We'll have the smartest artificial intelligence in the world, capable of composing symphonies, but we won't have cheap concrete to build a house, or cheap fertilizer to grow wheat. This will be a world of inverted logic. Digital products will become absurdly cheap. Generating a film, writing a book, creating a design, all of this will cost pennies because AI does it instantly. But a real product, a chair, a loaf of bread, a clean shirt, will become golden. The economy will be cannibalized. The digital sector will devour the physical one. We will live in a metaverse because in reality we won't have money for heating. Virtual reality will become a refuge for the poor, where warmth and light reign, while the physical body shivered in an unheated apartment. A new type of social stratification will emerge. Energy ghettos and energy oases will emerge. Wealthy neighborhoods and gated communities will begin disconnecting from the grid, building their own mini reactors and gas generators. They will surround themselves with fences not only to protect themselves from criminals, but also to protect their power lines. You will see houses hung with solar panels and wind turbines, like a fortress with battlements. Having an independent energy source will become the main status marker. If you have your own generator and fuel supply, you are a king. If you depend on an outlet, you are a slave. Riots will break out in cities. But these won't be political protests. These will be riots of darkness. People will take to the streets demanding the lights be turned on. They will smash transformer boxes, attempting to illegally connect to the lines powering data centers. In response, corporations will hire private armies to guard their cables. Imagine this: armed mercenaries guarding the power line leading to Amazon's server room from a mob of angry residents whose refrigerators have frozen. This is the cyberpunk we deserve. Not neon lights and flying cars, but dirt, cold, and machine gunners defending the machine's right to electricity. In 2026, you'll learn a new term: load shedding. This is when the dispatcher sees the grid frequency dropping and has a split second to decide who to disconnect to save the system from total collapse. Who will they disconnect? A hospital? A school? A residential area? Or a data center run by a corporation that pays triple the electricity rate and has lobbyists in the government? The answer is obvious. You'll be shed like ballast. You'll be disconnected remotely through those very smart meters that were foisted on you under the pretext of saving money. Now you'll understand their true purpose. They're not a cost-saving tool. They're a digital collar. They're a switch that the system controls, not you. They can limit your power to 1 kilowatt. They can disconnect you instantly for non-payment. They can turn off your lights because there's not enough wind today and the AI needs to train a new model. And in this new reality, the most cynical tax in history will emerge: a tax on intelligence. It will be hidden, yet omnipresent. Every time you buy a product, its price will reflect the cost of the insane energy expended by algorithms on logistics, marketing, and management. You will pay AI bills out of your own pocket, even if you have a push-button phone. Inflation will become energy-based. Money will depreciate not against gold, but against the kilowatt hour. The currency of the future will be the joule. 2026 will show us the true face of progress. It will turn out that progress is a zero-sum game. If something gains, in machine intelligence, then something else loses, in human comfort. We thought technology would free us from labor. Instead, it frees us from resources. AI hasn't become our servant. It's become our roommate, occupying the bathroom, eating everything in the fridge, blasting music at full volume, and forcing us to pay its utilities. And it's impossible to evict it. It's written into the lease of reality itself. It's a battle for the power outlet. And in this battle, humans stand no chance against a machine that has no conscience, no pity, and no need to sleep. The machine simply takes what it needs. And all you can do is watch the battery drain on your phone, the last thread connecting you to a world rapidly plunging into darkness. When night falls on the city, and the last windows go dark due to rolling blackouts, a strange, unfamiliar silence descends. A cold silence. In this silence, the familiar hum of civilization vanishes. Air conditioners are silent, elevators don't work, pumps in the basements are silent. A modern metropolis without electricity is a concrete trap, a tomb for millions of residents. Without power, the sewer system doesn't work. Without power, the water doesn't rise above the 3rd floor. Without power, supermarket checkouts and gas stations don't work. We built a world suspended by a thin copper wire, and now that wire has been cut. But if you listen closely, one sound still pierces this deathly silence. A distant, steady, mechanical hum from the industrial zone. There, beyond the barbed wire and concrete fence, the data center fans continue to spin. Life there never stopped for a second. The year 2026 will usher in a new chapter in human history, the age of techno-feudalism. The world will no longer be divided into developed and developing countries, west and east. It will be divided into zones of energy wealth and zones of energy poverty. The new feudal lords' castles will be the campuses of tech giants, autonomous city-states with their own nuclear reactors, their own water, their own police force, and their own eternal light. There will be warmth there. There will be hospitals with robotic surgeons. There the children of the elite will study, using the most powerful neural networks as personal tutors. Within the perimeter will be the 21st century, and outside the perimeter, where 90% of the population lives, a slow, painful slide into the past will begin. The deindustrialization of the West, which economists have been talking about for so long, will happen not because of China, but because of the price of a kilowatt. Producing complex things will become impossible for small businesses. You won't be able to compete with a corporation that charges 5 cents for energy when yours costs 50. Craftsmen, farmers, small factories, all will either be acquired by giants or go bankrupt. The middle class will turn into a class of energy peasants who work for corporations simply to pay the bills for heat and light. Your salary will go not to a mortgage or travel, but to a subscription a subscription to a warm life. In this new world, the very concept of value will change. What will be your main asset? Not Bitcoin, which is useless without the internet. Not stocks, which are worthless when the stock market is down. Your main asset will be autonomy. The ability to produce and store joules of energy. A generator in the garage will be more important than a Mercedes in the parking lot. A solar panel on the roof will be more valuable than a designer home renovation. A battery will become the best wedding gift. People will begin to form new communities, not based on common interests, but on the principle of an energy commune. Neighbours will pool their money for a shared diesel generator and work together to guard it at night. A black market for energy will emerge. People will trade charged batteries, just as they once traded gold or currency. Give me a light will take on a literal meaning. Give me a little juice to charge my phone and call my family. We are on the threshold of the great blackout. It won't be instantaneous like in Hollywood movies. It will be creeping. First, the lights will flicker. Then they will be turned off for an hour a day for maintenance. Then for 4 hours. Then electricity will be available only on a schedule. You will get used to it. People get used to everything. You will learn to live in semi-darkness. You will learn to sleep with your clothes on because heating is expensive. You will learn not to waste your phone battery. You will become more frugal, more rigid, more primitive. You will be proud of the fact that you have learned to light a fire in the yard to boil a kettle. This is called regression. And it is happening under the slogans of the greatest technological breakthrough. Civilization is like a mountain climber freezing on the slope of Everest. When the brain lacks oxygen and warmth, the body makes a terrible decision. It begins to shut down the periphery. First, the fingers go numb, then the hands, then the legs. The body sacrifices its limbs to preserve the warmth of the core to keep the heart beating. Our civilization does the same. The periphery is you. These are your homes, your small businesses, your schools. And the core is the AI server clusters. The system will sacrifice you without a second thought to preserve its silicon mind. Your fingers are already numb. Can you feel the cold? You have very little time left to prepare. Don't wait for the government to solve the problem. The government is part of the problem. Don't hope that scientists will invent cold fusion. Even if they do, it will go to corporations, not you. Act now, while stores are still open and prices are in dollars, not joules. Insulate your homes. Buy generators. Install wood-burning stoves. Find energy sources that don't rely on the grid. Build fuel reserves. Learn to repair wiring. Become self-sufficient. Your task is to build your own personal ark. An ark that will provide warmth and light while the ocean of darkness rages around you. You must become an island in a sea of chaos. This isn't paranoia. It's basic survival logic. When a ship sinks, the one with a lifeboat is saved, not the one who believes it's unsinkable. The Titanic of our power grid has already suffered a breach. Water is already flooding the holds. The music gets louder to drown out the creaking of the bulkheads. But you can't drown out physics. Take one last look at the glowing light bulb hanging from the ceiling. Look at it with gratitude and farewell. This even, warm light, which we took for granted like air, will soon be history. Soon it will be a luxury available to a select few. Remember this moment of comfort and start preparing for the cold. Because winter is not just coming. Winter is already here. It came not from the north but from the server room, and it has no face, only a black screen and a blinking cursor awaiting your request. The hum in the desert never stops. Moloch chews. And until he's sated, and he never will be, you'll pay the bills. First with money, then with comfort, and finally with your future.